We have a crisis in our teams and our organizations. We have a crisis with team engagement. We have a crisis of trust. And we have a crisis of leadership. And to address these crises, we're going to need bold leadership and more vulnerable leadership. We're going to need more empowered leadership, and we're going to need more team-wide leadership. To do this, we're going to make some radical shifts, and that's going to require that we shake things up. So here's the thing about the snow globe. They're beautiful. This is a beautiful snow globe, and yet it's really rather boring. Because when does the magic happen with a snow globe? Only when you shake it. Only when we shake the snow globe do we create the magic. And the same is true about our lives and about our leadership. We have to shake things up to change things. If we don't shake things up, they'll never change.
So people call me a snow globe shaker. And what's that about is that I am someone who shakes things up. That means disrupting thinking, disrupting perceptions. And a big part of what I share and what I deliver is this idea of helping people to see leadership, culture, team engagement, all those things differently. Because when you shift your perspective, you change your outcomes. And one thing that's totally clear about leadership is you as a leader don't get to decide how good you are. The people around you decide.
This is the real guy. This is Jeff. He is so authentic. And I know that word's overused a lot, but his presence, his connection with you, he's very connected to you when he's talking to you one-on-one. He is able to do that even with a large audience. I was really impressed, and there's just, I can't recommend him more.
And I knelt down, and he looked up, and he looked me in the eye, and there was a tear in my eye. I was tearing up, and I said, you know, I get tired too. January 15th, 2018. This is my mom. 10:32 a.m. My mom took her last breath. A month before that, she was pretty healthy. But she had a quick decline. And I got the phone call on Sunday that said these words, "Come." And I was able to be there, and I was able to be there with my mom when she took her last breath. And what I realized in the moment, as I sat next to her bed, holding her hand, saying my last goodbye, and looking at her face, I had two profound experiences at the exact same moment. One was deep, deep sadness, and the tears were pouring out of me as I held her hand. And at the exact same moment, not after, exact same moment, I had this awareness, and I said to myself, this is so incredibly beautiful. And I had immense joy, the exact same moment of immense sadness.
All I can say is, wow, Jeff Nischwitz, oh, this guy has such a huge heart. And the thing I love the most is that his heart comes through in each and every presentation, whether it's virtual or in person, that you experience his heart through his great stories, his vulnerable approach, but his in-your-face, get stuff done mentality and attitude. So super, super awesome dude. Jeff Nischwitz, an amazing speaker.
One thing I've heard in the last few months is so many people are saying, is anyone listening? And they're talking to leaders. And what they're talking about is what seems so obvious, the need to bring more humanity, more vulnerability, more authenticity and empathy into leadership.
I deeply, deeply want every one of you to be unstoppable. If you interacted with me one-on-one, you would feel that. I want every one of you to be unstoppable because it changes things. And I know that people in your organization and your teams want you to be unstoppable. I know that your friends and family and your partners want you to be unstoppable. And I know this, the world needs unstoppable people. The world needs unstoppable people. And the question is, are you willing to take risk? Are you willing to step in, to lean in, to jump in? Are you willing to stand up? Are you willing to use your voice? Are you willing to be bold? Are you willing to be vulnerable? Are you willing to take these steps? Are you willing? Are you willing to be unstoppable? Now, you may say that makes no sense. It makes all the sense because too many of us say we want to be unstoppable, but we're not willing to be unstoppable. I have values, and I use them every day to make decisions. When I make decisions, I don't say, should I do this or do that? I say, in what ways can I live my values through this decision? Which decision is in alignment with my values? And I can't make that choice if I don't know. So clarity. This is a truth about the T factor in your leadership, is that your leadership, your relationships, and your impact are not defined by what you say. They are not defined even by what you do. They are defined by what you tolerate. So what is your tolerance factor? What happens really quickly after we shake it up? Say that word out loud again. It settles. How's that word feel in your life and in your business, in your leadership? The way that we let things settle because it looked pretty good. We shook things up and the snow was in different places, but nothing really changed. So the offer to you is to shake things up, but in the middle of the shaking, to concentrate on how are you going to shift things? How are you actually going to change things in the shift? Because if you don't, you will end up settling quickly. In order to achieve the influence and impact you so deeply desire, it requires you to shake things up and to shift through that shaking. But you're going to get the joy and the peace and the lack of stress and the fulfillment and the impact all of you want. And what I know for sure is your journey to your unstoppable you begins and ends with just one step.